Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. One thing that I harp on this channel from time to time is seasonality when it comes to fragrances. Now, I'm not saying that a really warm fragrance isn't better suited for winter, because it probably is. But what I am saying is, sometimes it makes sense to actually wear something that's a fresh summer scent in the dead of winter. And also, depending on where you're going, what you're doing, it might make sense to wear a winter fragrance during the middle of summer. And with that in mind, I asked you guys, what is your favorite fresh fragrance that you love to wear when it starts to get cold outside? A fragrance that might smell even better in fall and winter than summer. Because I want to encourage you guys to experiment a little bit. That actually sounds really weird. I want to encourage you to experiment a little bit, explore your body. But no, I want you to experiment sometimes and wear something that's maybe a spring fragrance in the middle of winter, or a summer fragrance in late fall. Or like I said, maybe on a nice night out, reach for something that's a fall fragrance, wear that in summer. You might actually be surprised at how well some of these fragrances work in a season that's not the one that they get lumped into. All the fragrances I talk to you guys about are gonna be linked in the description. Feel free to check them out there. I don't know why I did that. I'm just gonna have to pick those up. And if you're on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. If you're not on TikTok, good on you. But if you are on there, you ain't got no excuse. That's at Gents. Let's jump into it. First fragrance from Dan the Man, 2907. He says, Percival, because while it is fresh, it's still dense enough to cut through the cold. And you know what? He's right. Percival is a fragrance that a lot of people would think of as a spring, summertime scent. Of course, smells a little bit similar to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce, or Mont Blanc Legend, or Mont Blanc Legend Blue, or any of the fragrances that kind of smell like Fierce. But it does have really nice quality to it, super wearable, big compliment puller as well. So this one has citrus, it's got lavender, it's got amber and tonka as it dries down. A really nice scent that's appealing to pretty much everybody, but as he says, it does have a little density to it, which is one of the things that really makes Percival a year-round fragrance to me. Because actually, in the middle of summer, probably wouldn't go super heavy with this one because the sweetness it has, it could be a little overbearing. Now, it'll absolutely work in the summer. I'm just saying don't drown yourself in it. But that sweetness, that sweetness is what lets it shine when it's cold outside. You can wear this stuff pretty much anywhere, anytime. A great choice, kicking things off right. Mark H, 7389 is up next, who says, Amouage Reflection Man. The OG works very well in cooler weather, as does Reflection 45. Naturally. So this one's got white florals. That's really one of the main things it's known for. Jasmine being one of the most prominent. Also has some neroli in there as well. Then you have rosemary, sandalwood, vetiver, bit of iris. Super classy, little bit powdery, but very fresh. For a time, people would kind of refer to this as like the niche, high-end version of Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, the original. Which, if you spray this on side by side with Le Male, it's not crazy close or anything like that, but you could say similar family. And then there's also Gucci Guilty Elixir, which smells a bit similar to Amouage Reflection as well. And Reflection is a fragrance that more often than not is gonna be thought of as more of like a springtime fragrance. So not quite as fresh for like middle of summer, but when everything starts to heat back up again, it's perfect for then. But I do think it fits in really well to this video, because this is a fragrance that I think is even better when it gets cold out, because a little bit of that density actually goes a long way when it's cold, and it makes it smell a little bit fresher off the top. So Reflection Man, another great choice. What do we got up next? Well, we started with two that are on the more expensive side, so let's go cheap. Let's go mad cheap next. We've got one from Chef Joe, 63, who says, Ferragamo Acqua Essenziale Blue is a big favorite of mine. It does have a denseness to it that works well in cooler weather. We seem to be having some recurring themes here. Little density. But I don't want you to think that it has to be like a more dense, fresh fragrance. I like to wear, for example, Chrome Aqua when it's cold outside. I've talked about this a bunch, but that one really works well for me. It's got this nice mint pop off the top, a little bit green, and it makes it just almost icy. Very pepperminty. It works well. So this one, Acqua Essenziale Blue, this has citrus. It's got a nice amount of tonka in there as well, a bit of lavender. So it's a pretty safe note breakdown. You know, it's the type of stuff that when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that is something that you could wear just about any time. And that's what it is. You can find this, at least as of this video, right around 30 bucks. You get a smaller bottle, you can get it under 30, so it's crazy cheap. And you could use that in lieu of something like Dylan Blue, for example, from Versace. It's not the same as Dylan Blue, but if you wanted to go like a step down as far as price point versus Dylan Blue, that's what this is. And in terms of quality, pretty much on par. It's good stuff for a good price. And speaking of Dylan Blue, that's the next one. How to pronounce this? Zane Zaddy PE7MJ. I love wearing Dylan Blue in the colder months because it ends up performing much better than it does on a hot and humid summer day. Now, I will say that I have harped on Dylan Blue for a minute. As basically being one of the best bang for buck blue fragrances out there. I still maintain that because it's not very expensive from discounters. Sure, this is cheaper, but this is a lot less than Y, Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage, all those, right? I think the presentation is slick. It looks good. It looks nice. And this is a really good year-round fragrance. I know most people, they're gonna smell this one and think, oh, blue fragrance. Blue fragrance is spring, summer. But this has a nice density to it. It's got a nice bit of depth. It has that incense that helps cut through in the cold. And then of course, Ambroxan and Tonka give it a nice fresh modern woodiness, a bit of sweetness in there as well. And so while yeah, it is fresh, especially off the top, it's got enough going on there that it's gonna smell amazing when it's cold out. Dylan Blue, solid. All year, daytime or nighttime. This is one of those jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife fragrances that everybody needs to have at least one of. I'm not saying that you have to own Dylan Blue, but you have to own something that can do that. Merglaski is up next, who says, Sauvage Eau de Parfum works wonders in cooler temps. The added spices really pop. So this one has Sichuan pepper, lavender, and nutmeg as some of the notes in the fragrance, along with that citrus off the top, of course, a little bit of bergamot. Then as it dries down, Ambroxan, vanilla, those are gonna be the main notes there. It does have that metallic feel from the original Sauvage Eau de Toilette that carries over to this one, but the amplified vanilla, that amplified sweetness, that bit of spice, that fresh spice that's in there, does make this one work really well year round. I would say, middle of summer, don't go too heavy. Now, I'm not saying don't wear this in summer, it'll work. It'll 100% work in summer. Just, be cognizant of the performance, right? You don't wanna be giving people headaches, okay? Don't be a monster. Have a little empathy for your common man or woe man. But fall, winter time, yeah, this is a big attention grabber, big compliment puller. I mean, it's Sauvage. At the end of the day, don't need to say too much more than that. #1 best-selling fragrance in the world, and it's because people love how it smells. To the moon and back, says Missoni Pour Homme comes out to play. Makes me think of the Warriors. Missoni, come out to play. I wear it pretty much throughout the whole year, but for some reason it just hits on a cool, breezy fall afternoon. So Missoni Pour Homme, Missoni Parfum Pour Homme, Pour Homme Parfum. This stuff, I gotta say, I always say this, I'll say it again. Don't buy a tester because you missed the magnetic cap. It's the biggest mistake of my entire life. It's not an exaggeration, not at all. That's sarcasm, by the way. But yeah, it comes with a magnetic cap if you get the full presentation. If you don't get the full presentation, it looks half naked. But the presentation outside of that looks good. And the fragrance, real cheap. Those are nice things, all good things, all good things. It smells similar to Bleu de Chanel. So you could think of this to an extent as like a more affordable alternative to Bleu de Chanel. And yeah, for sure, year-round use, easy. You can wear this whenever you want. Another one, daytime, nighttime, doesn't matter. Safe to the office, nice casually, could wear it on a date. Missoni, it's good bang for the buck. The only bad thing is we are still sitting here waiting on a new Missoni. We got this one, and then another one that you maybe have heard of that I don't know if it's gonna pop up in this video, but we're waiting on a new Missoni. So Missoni, anybody there sees this video, could you do a new one? Now we have Alec Cole 973 who says, Gucci Guilty Black hits different in the fall. Always been a fall fragrance to me. So one thing to know about Gucci Guilty Black is it has changed. The name is now Gucci Guilty Essence. I didn't see any kind of press release or anything like that. I was actually just surfing on, I think it was Ulta's website, looking at like the new releases. It was the first one there, Gucci Guilty Essence. And it was in this bottle. I was like, what? Why have I not heard of that? So then I looked into it, checked out the notes, looked at everything, and I was like, this is Just Gucci Guilty Black, they changed the name. So just be aware of that. If you're in a store looking around or online or something and you see a bottle that looks suspiciously like Guilty Black, but then it says Guilty Essence, they just changed the name. And for me, actually, Guilty Black has always been more of a spring fragrance, mainly because when you spray it on, it's really green. There's lavender, coriander, orange blossom, green notes in there as well. Has kind of a grassiness or grassy aspect to it, but it's also very clean. And so it's that kind of fragrance that I think of when everything starts to bloom again, because you get all those smells popping up when you go outside. You know, the grass, the trees, the flowers, everything starting to bloom. This captures a little bit of that, maybe an essence of that. Oh, they're onto something. But yeah, that's how I think of with this one, springtime. But to be fair, a lot of people kind of put spring and fall fragrances together to an extent, because it's like the changing of seasons. In one of them, it starts a little chilly, starts to get warmer as it goes on, and the other, it's warmer and then starts to get chilly. They're reversed. So this would absolutely work during fall, just as it would spring. That's what I'm trying to say. But it will also work during summer or winter. Nice. It has been hated on for far too long. I think Gucci Guilty Black / Essence is actually a really nice scent, and it's a big compliment puller as well. Jared Steele, 6229 is up next. He says, Dior Homme 2020, it smells great in the crisp autumn air. You ain't wrong, Dior Homme 2020, solid choice. Now, if you wanted to go for like the fresher iteration of this one, it'd be Dior Homme Sport, which is really similar to Dior Homme 2020, only freshened up a bit, and with that woodiness reined in just a little bit. Woo! Yeah, yeah, I hated this so much, man, when this came out. Every time I talk about it, just eating that crow, just delicious. Fresh, spicy, woody, masculine, modern, classy stuff is just, it's great. Yeah, nothing bad to say about this. In autumn, yeah, that might actually be the best time to wear this, spring or autumn. Fantastic choice, and another one that I think year round, you can wear this. Zach Smith 8109 says, Missoni Wave. It's great in the winter. The tiny hint of tonka creaminess brings it into cooler weather a bit better than some other simple freshies. I see, Missoni again. And this magnetic cap won't even work with this one. Look at that. I almost wonder if they manufacture the testers differently, where they don't bother with like the magnets in here. I'm assuming that they do not, which is why, oop, it won't do that. So Missoni Wave. This one is similar to Versace Pour Homme or Chanel Allure Homme Sport, kind of in between those two. Aquatic, fresh, a little bit sweet. It's a clean one, big compliment puller, and cheap. So there's a lot to like about that one. It was even cheap at full retail, which it's not super easy to find at retail now. It's not usually good, is it? Let's not talk about that. I love this fragrance. I think it's fantastic for the price point. I will also say Allure Homme Sport by Chanel. That one works really well. Like I said, it's similar to this one, but Allure Homme Sport, even a little bit creamier still than this one. But Missoni Wave, can't go wrong with that. Then we have Building Skynet. I don't trust you. Why would you build Skynet? You know what it does. Okay, when we all get overrun by Terminators, you know who to thank. He says, Precious Liquid Blue Agave. It has this frosty, fresh, out of a freezer effect that is just undeniably great. So Blue Agave is done by Richard Herpon. He is a friend of the channel, friend of me, so I'm gonna be a little bit biased. Be aware of that. I've actually done a number of videos with them on the channel, and we were just texting yesterday about doing some more, so it'll probably be on here before too long. And Blue Agave, very fresh, very salty. So agave, obviously one of the notes in the fragrance, it's in the name after all. And then there's lime, salt, which might make you think of tequila, hearing those three notes together. There's also driftwood and sage in there as well. Very much kind of like a beachy, tropical vacation scent. Like if you were gonna go on a cruise or go to somewhere in the Caribbean, but it does have a decent amount of heft to it off the top. It's another great choice, and again, shout out to Richard. Then we've got Life with King Scents, who says Acqua di Profumo. Now, Acqua di Profumo is a great choice. Once again, you guys crushed it. But it is sort of, what's the word? Discontinued. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that one with Acqua di Parma, which is basically Giorgio Armani's Mea Culpa. And they went like, oh, we discontinued that. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have. Let's bring it back. Now, it's not the exact same as Profumo, but it's close enough that I'm not gonna complain too much. And Acqua di Parma / Profumo has always been a perfect choice for a fresh fragrance that you can wear during the fall or winter. It has that Acqua di freshness off the top, just like you would expect in an Acqua di flanker. And when it hits the cold air, it just really gives everything an icy edge, like a frosted edge that just takes the brightness up a notch. But then as it dries down, you have that incense that gives a nice little push when it's cold out. So Acqua di Profumo / Parfum, that's a 10 out of 10 choice. I'm on board with that. Last up, we have Mob Rides. Mob Rides. Mob Rides. Mob Rides. Either one works, right? One is like, you know, you're in the mob riding, mob rides, or you got a car that's like, you know, murdered out or something. Or Mob Rides, like, hey, I want to have 10 wives. I don't know, you decide, which one is it? He says, Oud Lemon Mint. That vanilla and leather with hints of oud is just great when it's cool and breezy. It's another great one. And Oud Lemon Mint is another fragrance that I would say, for me, actually, I'd probably rather wear it during the winter than the summer. Because yes, in the grand hierarchy of Mancera fragrances, it's probably one of the fresher ones, or on the fresher side anyway. But man, it packs a punch and it is sweet. This is always gonna be one of my favorite Manceras. I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, that pop that it has, that sweetness, the performance, that hint of oud, to me it works a little bit better when you've got some of the chill in the air going on. When you have that little bit of wind coming through, cutting through, the fragrance just melds together perfectly with that. When it's really hot out, if we're talking like dead of summer, that sweetness and the heavier aspects of that fragrance can be a little bit much if you wear more than a few sprays. So yeah, Oud Lemon Mint, fall and winter, stunner. Also Mancera, so pretty cheap. All right guys, there we go. Look at that. Look at that, just take that in for a second. Look at that. Just look at that. Look at that. You guys did a great job. I want to thank all of you who submitted your fragrance choices, who upvoted other people's. If you want to be in a future video, check out the community tab. There's always a question up on there. Just leave your answer. Maybe be in a video like this one. Thank you guys. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.